Hello YouTube, vintage stereo collectors, restorers, interested parties. Just started working on the Dynaco PAT-4. I thought I'd start with something simple because we're in the middle of very hot weather right now. And I'm in the room above the garage in our little place here. And it gets very warm even with AC. I usually have a fan blowing on me, but I can't run it because you wouldn't hear me. I thought I'd do something really simple here, and that would be mod the tape monitor switch. PAT-4, this model, have a spring-loaded switch. So if you have a 3-head DAC, something really nice, whether it's a reel-to-reel or a cassette, I always, when I record with my 3-head DAC, my Luxman, I'm trying to remember what that one was. It was one of the high-end ones from '86. I can't remember all the model numbers, but anyway, I've only had one coffee. You have to take the faceplate off, take the 2 screws out of the whole switch, move it forward and clip the spring off. And then it'll work just like this switch, the way it should be. There's some folklore that they did this in order to lessen warranty repairs, units sent back in the tape monitor position. They couldn't hear from the selector. And here's another thing, sometimes the simplest job turns into a problem. This is where we get into setbacks. I started at this end, took this knob off, took this knob off. There's just a slot set screw in each. Then I get to this one. And I loosen the set screw as much as it would turn. It wouldn't turn that much. And I'm just, oh, I'll give it a bit of a wiggle and loosen it some more. A bit of a wiggle, loosen it more. Snap! It's like, uh-oh. If you look at this, it's somewhat dark in there and looks like plastic. That's because it's broken in the past before I've ever seen this unit, and somebody epoxied it and the shaft was able to turn. I think they probably took the shaft out of the selector switch, which isn't that hard to do, and what I notice is there's vice grip marks on the shaft. I think somebody used that to move the shaft, glue it, and then push it back in. Maybe had to sand it a bit. And it's like, okay, now, do I re-glue it? No, I'm going to try to get a new selector switch, or at least a switch that has the same mechanical, like get a shaft, maybe cut it. I've done that before. This is the same switch as on an SCA 35. I'm going to move to the side here. So pretty simple. Yeah, one set of wafers here, one set here. Basically, right channel. I think this, yeah, right channel and left channel. Far apart, so there's not crosstalk. But I should be able to repair this if I can get another shaft of the same length and size. See, that's going to come out pretty easy. Just got to maybe tip the back down. But this is the thing with setbacks, you know. And then I was thinking I would take, after I'd done this, I was going to take this out, unsolder it, because some of the solders, it's been unsoldered before, not soldered in very well. I was actually just going to put it into a pan and soak it in some cleaner, because there's a lot of oxidation here and the contact cleaner is not working. Anyway, it looks like we're getting a new switch at this point, or at least a new shaft. Maybe a new switch would be the best idea. I wanted to show you one of the little mods on this, and we're going to do that when we get everything back together. It's for the tone control. Oh, I'll show you now just to make this positive. These have a reputation for having very sloppy controls. What you do is you put a little O-ring on there and put this one in. I'm so prepared I don't even have a slot screwdriver. And tighten it down. It's one of these. There we go. Tighten it down. The problem before is that they kept moving too freely of each other. Once it's tightened down, they'll turn as a unit and they'll even clutch a bit. If you want to adjust them, and it tightens up the whole control. That's my tone control mod. I thought I'd show that to you for fun. And then I'm going to end with a little story. And this has to do with setbacks and work that's on hold. And I also noticed another problem on this. The 2 leads here that go to the transformer, they're just wrapped in, they're not even soldered in. Just notice that. Anyway, a little setback story. Years ago when I was working at one of the stereo shops I worked at, we ran into this thing. It was in the summer. People are on holidays, whatever. We weren't getting a lot of through the door business as far as sales go. I was working in the downstairs part in the car stereo installation service and on the bench, and we got to a position early in one week, and it was unbelievable. We had shelves. We had an in shelf and an out shelf, and the out shelf was the shelf for pickup. It was all ready to go, had a bill on it, whatever. The out shelf was empty. In shelf was full with units that had notes on them. And we're just sitting there one morning just like, what are we going to do? And our boss came down and he said, guys, are you going to start working? And we were like, okay, here's the deal. And he's looking at the in shelf and he's saying, you got all these units here. Why aren't you working on them? And the guy, one of the guys went over, it wasn't me, but he went over and he said, okay, this one here, waiting for parts from Alpine. This one here, this Marantz, waiting for a new control. And then he just pointed and pointed and pointed, waiting for output transistors, they're Darlingtons, waiting for warranty parts, waiting for the customer to call back and approve repairs. Every single thing, and there must have been like 20 units on that shelf, was dead in the water because we couldn't get the parts or whatever, the confirmation to repair it. And he goes, oh, I see. Well, let me see what I can do about that. So anyway, we decided after lunch that day to go out in the backyard and play frisbee. That was our solution. And actually, it was kind of fun. I actually went home, got some food for lunch and brought a frisbee. And we're throwing the frisbee around and just kind of like, it was kind of just a nice day, and see the boss's car come back. It's like, oh, okay. So we go back in the shop and he comes trotting down. He said, okay. He goes, the Jeep Eagle dealer down the street, their detailing guy hurt himself or he's off sick or something. I forget the exact detail. And he said, you two are going to be detailers for the rest of the week. So he actually made this deal. They brought cars over. We had a spare bay and we actually had stuff set up to clean cars. And we ended up doing car cleaning and stuff. And it actually turned into a long-term thing. We did their overflow. But then the parts started to come in and we got back to working on the bench again. So anyway, I'm going to see if I can get what I need for this, and then maybe move on to something else. Thank you for watching and listening.